Hi everyone, it's Lynn. We are here today to draw our next crayon for the Crayon Color Challenge. And I was just going to give you an update of what I've been working on and what I'm looking at and doing and wasting time in my sewing room. I know not everybody wastes time in their sewing room. Sometimes I do. But today I actually put up all the samples of fabric that I had taken out for the last couple weeks to look at for the last colors thing. So I thought I better put those away. And then I think I got them all. There may be some left on that table. I'm not sure. Anyway, I thought I better put those all away. And so whatever the next one is, I will kind of not repeat. Although I think I left the black and white ones out, because I don't have a ton of black and white. I should, though. I think that those are, like, I'm finding every time I look at the black and white with whatever color we've chosen, I really like it. So, but I did want to show you what I have been working on. And this was the background from one of the color that we chose. And I think it was the green, the apple green. So I made this cute little, this is machine applique. I talked about it with a class that I did when belonged to an art guild, and so they wanted to know how to do machine applique, so I just kind of talked them through this one technique by Sharon Schomburg, and well, I had to make something. So I prepped the class, or the talk with different sections, but then I finished it. I finished the little tulips that were in the book. So the book is called Piece by Piece by Sharon Schomburg, and it walks through her technique. This is the pattern out of that book. So if you want this pattern, and again, this is not sponsored. There's no link or anything that I'm making any money out of. So not to say that I won't do that, but I will tell you if I ever do that, of course. But yeah, I've looked into how to do that, but I haven't figured out. I haven't gone down that path yet. Anyway, and this is also a public service announcement. These are dangerous. Please, please use great precaution when using a rotary cutter. And when you're using a rotary cutter with the thing, make sure that your hand, if you're cutting against this side, make sure all your hand is off the other side. Ask me how I know. Today, I was cutting along, I was cutting these little strips, and I just barely put you can see it's still bleeding. I know, it's yuck. So, but I barely put my finger, it wasn't all the way off of it. It was just barely on the side, and I sliced off my finger. So, other pro tip. I feel like you're getting pro tips today. Yes, I've done this for a long time, and yes, I can still cut myself every once in a while. The other pro tip is always have Neosporin and Band-Aids in your sewing room and know where they are. Don't go looking for them. I just have a little case that I knew where it was, so I was able to get something on that really quickly. But yeah, I sliced my finger today. Not cool, not fun. Didn't go well for me. Anyway, so I'm finishing this. I think it's just going to be a little small quilt kind of thing. And I'm thinking about using it to practice myself, as well as maybe do some techniques with my sewing machines right here. Do some techniques on machine quilting on a domestic machine. I know I'm very much more comfortable doing it on a long arm, but sometimes when it's just like a 16-inch, whatever, this is a 12.5-inch block. So I'm putting a checkerboard around it. Y'all know that's surprising, right? I love a good checkerboard. So I'm cutting this cute little checkerboard, and you'll see it next, but it's got, you'll see it when it's done. I'll show it to y'all, but it's got this with this as the cornerstones, and this is a part of the checkerboard. So I thought that'll look really cute. I've already got it cut out, and partly it's over here on the design wall. So I thought that would look cute. And then I'll do some machine quilting on that. And then I'm actually working on a jacket, one of the quilted jackets. So I taught the first part of the class last Saturday at the museum. And so I need to finish the jacket or get it in stages, you know, so that you can see what they need to do next. So I left them with a bunch of homework that they have to do. But we got the jacket pieces cut out, and we got the, paper pieces cut out. And then we talked about how to design what you want on each part of the jacket. Because that's something like, I think there are two ways to kind of approach this new jacket trend. And one of the ways is that you go find a quilt and cut it up. And I know that gives some people hives that you're going to cut up a quilt. I will say I've done it. It wasn't a precious quilt to me, and I can make others, and so I cut it up and made a jacket. When you do that, which is, definitely a technique, you're kind of stuck in where some placements of elements end up being because of it's a quilt, so it's already sewn together, it's already quilted, so you don't have the luxury of saying, but I want the star here instead of down near my hip, or I want this image, over here on this side when it's going to be cut through and be the center of the jacket or the back. So when you create a jacket, a quilted jacket from scratch, you can cut out, my first step is to cut out all your paper pieces and then kind of determine what do I want as my background and where do I want things. And I think there are a lot of really creative ideas to do that, in that, like if this were a part of a jacket, that could be the center of the back, or it could be, wrapped around the side and you only see part of it. And, it could be very symmetrical or it could be asymmetrical. And that's just kind of up to you. One of the ladies in the class, and I thought this was a great idea, is where she's using a Lone Star blade. And so like she's making a little Lone Star that'll be in the back, but then on the side, she's just doing part of the star. And then on the other side, she's not doing any of the star. But this is the creative part, I thought. She's going to quilt the lines that make it look like a star and echo that with her quilting just on a plain, her background of her jacket's white. So just on the plain white, she's going to quilt that. And so that makes that more interesting in that she's planned it all. So, if you are one of these people who get hives because you're like, please, please, please do not cut a quilt, and especially an older one. And I understand, as a quilt appraiser, I totally get that. Like, I get that these are precious, pieces of history and part of your family or all those kinds of things. But I also, and I think you guys have heard me say this like 100 times, or I say it to myself 100 times. I also think that part of, our history of quilting is that we've used them for a variety of different things. Like the pieces that fabric that ends up in a quilt may have gone through 3 other things: a dress for a child, an apron, whatever kind of thing. So, I'll tell you what, if you go to I think it is quiltsmart.com. I think it's .com. If you go there, they have this whole jacket challenge with Free Spirit right now, and you can order some of their, they do interfacing. If you've never used Quilt Smart, interfacing is really good. And by the way, again, just love their products, have no sponsorship with them. I've reached out to them. But they are doing a jacket challenge with Free Spirit, and I think you can look at them on Instagram and stuff. So if you're interested in jackets, that may be a really good resource for you. So, and I think there's tons of, they've even got patterns. Like we're using the Tamarack jacket by Grain Line in my class, and I think that, and that you can order online. So it's something we could do this online too. If you guys are interested, let me know in the comments, because that's a lot of work. So I don't want to I don't want to start something if you're not going to do it. If we're not all excited about it. You know what I mean? So, da-da-da. All right. Now, I have no idea. Oh, guys, I got to tell you. So, this week, my husband and I, he got for me, my birthday's in January, and he bought me tickets to go see a concert. And so it was this weekend. It's a Christian concert. I really enjoy We the Kingdom is the name of the group that we went to see. And they were in Alabama. So we drove over from Georgia to Alabama and went and had a really nice dinner. And that was great fun. And then we went and saw the concert at this church. And it was really good. And I so enjoyed it. And they're the brand, they won the Dove Award for the new artist. And they're just, I love their stuff. Anyway, so we had a lot of time to talk in the car because it's a couple-hour drive there and back. And we were exhausted yesterday when I'm really filming this on Tuesdays. We were exhausted yesterday. And so, but what was funny was we were driving over there and I was talking to him about this and the business and, you know, just stuff I'm trying to do online now and everything. And he's like, Lynn, you talked about peach for 45 minutes. He said the color peach. You talked about the color peach for 45 minutes. I'm like, yeah, but it's a great color. And he's like, I don't know anybody who can talk about peach for 45 minutes. And I was like, well, I can't. Like, I like talking about color. So now he's, you know, he's giving me a hard time because I talk about peach for 45 minutes. But it was a good color. So we'll see with this color if I can talk about it that long. So probably, let's be honest, I'm verbose. There you go. All right. So draw it blind. Of course, I'm not looking. Okay, wait. I'm going to do this one. Does this look like a good one? Ooh, red. It is red. We are talking about red. So somebody said to do this so that you could see it really well. This is red. This is Crayon red. I have to admit it's one of my favorite colors. I love red. It is on the warm side. Oh, I'm going to be interested when I pull a blue. Look, I have red thread right here. Right next to me. Literally right next to me. Red. Okay, so what does red remind me of? Fire. Reminds me of fire. I think of red and orange and yellow and fire. I think of... It looks good on me. I enjoy the color red. I like red. I have a lot of red in my wardrobe that I wear. So that's not... And I always look for like red tea. Like when the Braves... so weird. And then when the Braves won, they had all the t-shirts. And so I got a red one. I wanted a red one. Red. Oh, it reminds me of that red dress that Katrina Balfour in the second season... Is it the second season? The second season of Outlander, the red dress. Oh my God, I thought that dress was so pretty. It was gorgeous. So yeah, it reminds me of the red dress. It reminds me of the song Lady in Red. I can tell I'm an 80s girl. So definitely red. I think it reminds me of apples, but that's not my favorite kind of apple. My favorite apples are green. But it does remind me. I think it's just as a kid, you see red, you know, with apple, you know, when you were learning your letters or whatever, there was an apple for A or whatever. So it was always red. It does remind me of children's, like I can see where red would remind me of children's fabrics, because think you see a lot of children, and maybe not so much anymore because I've seen a trend away from it, but you know, like, and you would think of kids' rooms as red, yellow, and blue, very primary colors. And I think that there's studies where the kids see black and white and red, like that's like one of their first kind of color recognition kind of things as a child, babies. I don't know that for sure. You guys can correct me. What else does red remind me of? It's a popular color. Like, I think red is a popular color, but I don't think it's just juvenile. I think you can see some beautiful reds. Oh, remember that red and white quilt exhibit? God, it's probably been 10, 15 years ago now. It was in New York, and this lady had collected all these red and white quilts. And I think it was her husband, like, rented the Armory, some big space, and like they displayed it. There's even been books written about the red and white quilts that you can buy of that exhibit, and how powerful exhibit it was. And I thought it was a really important exhibit from the standpoint of the red and white quilts kind of brought people from the art world, that exhibit, because it was just red and white quilts. It brought people from the art world, you know, in New York to kind of look at quilting a different way because it was such a powerful collection of red and white. And Houston, the Houston Quilt Show, the last time I was there, which was 2019, because they canceled it in 2020. Did they have it last year? I think they did. I didn't go. They did blue and white because it was their sapphire anniversary. And I've got pictures and film of the blue and white exhibit, but it was an ode to the red and white exhibit that lady had in New York that really it rocked the quilt world in that people were like, oh my gosh, quilts are getting recognized. I think that's wonderful. Like, I'm so excited that we're seeing quilts outside of, just domestic or women's work or whatever, and being recognized as artwork, which I am very excited about. I like that it's quilters are artists. I mean, I'm not to say that we don't make the things for, home and family and hearth and all that kind of stuff, and not all quilts are going to be hanging in a museum. But that being said, some of the quilts that were made to be at home and hearth are hanging in a part of collections and museums because of their historical age and that kind of stuff. So I think big art museums are gaining more interest in having a fiber collection, which I think is important. I think that's really interesting, and I'm glad I see that. So the red quilts. And I remember right after that, I thought, I bet there's going to be a lot of red and white quilts. And there were. Like, people started making red and white quilts because of that exhibit. And red's a great color. It goes with a lot of things. It reminds me of the 50s. Remember, like, a few years ago where you would see every new line, and I'm exaggerating here, but it seemed like to me every new line was like that teal and red, which to me was a harken back to the 50s kind of era, and colors that were really popular, those cherry reds and the bluey teals, you would see a lot. So that's interesting. Okay, so I have to think of other places. And red, white, and black quilts. Of course, I live in Georgia, so, like, I see a ton of red, white, and black quilts here that are made for kids, that are t-shirt quilts, that are made for husbands that are big Georgia, University of Georgia fans. So, like, red, white, and black, I'm seeing a lot. Now, if you live in other states, you're not going to see, maybe if the team or the mascot of your favorite school is not got red in it, you won't see that as much as I am here. It's just Georgia, the University of Georgia is a big influence of quilting in this area. So I definitely see a lot of red, white, and black stuff. More currently made. Absolutely. Historical, I don't think you can say that. Oh, and turkey red. Turkey red is a fascinating. I'm going to look up. Okay, so Friday, I promise. I will look up and find, because I used to know this better than I do to just me talk about this, but I will look up and find how turkey red is made, because it's fascinating how it's made. And that was one of the colors that we could have in fabric since the 1700s was turkey red. So I think red, although it's darker probably than this red, honestly, it's darker. But I think you see red fabric in quilts since the 1700s in this country. So this is a part of our heritage, red is, and definitely an interesting part of our heritage. So I will look up stuff about that because I think you will find that interesting when we talk about red. Red has been used in quilts for, since the start of this country, in the 1700s, since the start of America in the 1700s. I realize it was a land prior to us being here, but anyway, yeah, so red is definitely an interesting, great color. I'm glad we're going to talk about it. I think I could probably talk about it for 45 minutes. To the chagrin of my husband. Now he was just giving me a hard time. He was like, I can't believe you talked about that for 45 minutes. His office is through that door behind me. So he he knows when I shut the door, he can hear me talking about or whatever when I'm filming stuff. So, he's down here working too. All right. Well, lovelies. I hope you guys have a great day. And we will talk about red. Red. My boo-boo. And blood. It reminds me of blood, which I've shed for the gift of quilting that I don't know. Anyway, so red's our color. We'll talk about red. I'll try to make sure it's a true red too, because that's what it is. This is red. Rouge, and I will butcher this because I don't speak Spanish. Rojo, I don't know. Let's just say I don't know. Anyway, red. Okay, so be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and we will talk to you on Friday.